So, you may have a vision for your life, for your business, even the relationship you're in and the relationship you want to be in. But a lot of guys don't have a sexual vision. What do they want their ultimate sex life to be like? A lot of times as guys, we chase peak moments and try to remember those, that this one thing happened this one time or a few times, and it can be alcohol or drug induced. It can be, well, I remember there was this time and I had 7 drinks and I was pretty drunk, but not too drunk, and I was able to go much longer, and I don't know how I did it, and you can remember something from a year ago, from a decade ago. Of this was just a random peak experience that somehow the girl or my girlfriend or the chemicals or the alcohol mixed just right. It can be a bleak place to live at, and for guys, we think about the objective, our performance. So it's trying to take often something from the past that might not even be that good, even though it was the best. It felt really good in the moment. You remember a couple times and you want to recreate that, which also creates stress, creates performance anxiety, creates pressure. If you haven't done this yet, and you're the type of guy that's really working on yourself and growing, to take time where you're actually away from sex for a bit, if you're single, a period of celibacy, period of semen retention, these can be surprisingly life-changing. I've done some for many months, almost a year, and it's very, very, very different how you come out of it. It's like if you're fasting, but in a different sense. And sometimes we think about how we want to feel and what we want to experience, which is important. An important question that doesn't always get asked is, what do we want her to feel? What do we want to give? We can sometimes want to check off the boxes of she had this many orgasms, or she said I was the best lover or the biggest, or things like that. Very objective oriented rather than how connected are we to the person. Have you ever had a time where maybe you dated a girl for a while and you just felt this deep, profound connection, or even if you didn't date that girl, you sensed that would be there? Call that emotional, call that your spirit, call that your heart. That's vital. If you want to build an amazing fuck yes relationship, it's vital. And if we've had that experience, we may have had the other experience where that wasn't there, and it was just purely physical. And as guys, how our mind works and kind of the little boxes that we have in our mind, it's like, well, he can be happy, he had his fun time, or like my heart and this connection, but this is kind of foreign, I'm a guy, I don't know how to navigate this. And what if you could have it all? If you don't think about it, if you don't plan for it, if you don't have a vision of it, if you're not feeling it without even being with someone, chances are you're almost never going to create it, or it could be a fluke experience that you try to recreate something from the past. But what if whatever you had from the past, that you're able to create something so much better? What if things that aren't supposed to match or fit together? Like, this is a girl that meditates, that's in the same spiritual practices, that takes care of her body, not just going to the gym and taking a bunch of drugs or whatever it is, or injections, but takes supplements, eats clean, and you have that alignment of your core values. And she's also the kind of girl you can bring home to mom. And to quote Ludacris, she's a lady in the street, but a freak in the bed. And she'll do the wildest things that you want to experience. As a guy, we often believe women's turn on should be like a light switch. Ours is much closer to a light switch, maybe a microwave. It takes 30 seconds to get going. A woman is more like a flower, and that's only partially accurate. She's not just like a flower, because a flower has to open. You can't just flip a switch and a flower blooms. So there's an opening to the female experience, and there's an opening to the female experience that, as time goes on, I'm infinitely more convinced of 2 things. Most guys have never seen that, or seen a lot of references of that being possible, because they don't see it in other relationships or things like that blossoming. And that flower isn't just a flower, it over time turns into a whole garden. The other thing is they might just not know how to do it, but they know there's something more, and they read something online, and they read some of a Montauk Chia book or David Deida. If you could have it all your way, with whatever you want, what kind of sex life would you want? Have you ever made a list? The things that would really light you up? It changes a guy when he's that connected to a woman, or he has like a psychedelic experience without any type of plant medicine or something, but he's with her, or he's able to move energy through her body. And if you've seen some of these guys at like tantra events where they wave their hand across a woman, that seems very woo-woo. I can promise you it's absolutely real from seeing it, from doing it, from seeing friends and clients do it. What if there's a whole nother universe out there that you haven't even maybe given chance to think exists yet? Because if we take our 3 peak sexual experiences from the last 10 years, we're essentially creating from the past, even though we're thinking it in the future, and then we're creating from limitation. What if that peak experience you had, or one of those 3 or whatever it is, maybe you've had many more, that's something that maybe doesn't happen every time, but is a weekly occurrence in a relationship. A lot of times we stay stuck in the past, trying to recreate the past. What's infinitely more powerful, now there's research to show this, is having something that really excites us to pull us towards. And when you start to imagine this, to let yourself have the vision, the fun, the desire, it starts to really shift things. And also, I've only had it happen once. It's great to know what your vision is, because you can meet someone that you have a lot of alignment with, that you have an emotional connection with, and they just don't see the physical experience. They don't see making love the same way. And that's okay. If you're sexually incompatible with someone after 90 days, you're probably going to be sexually incompatible with them for the next 50 years if you choose to get married. So having a vision not gives you just clarity of the future, but it saves you time, so you're not spending time with someone who is kind of a fit versus someone you really, 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 really connect with. I would invite you to consider and challenge you on this. How do you want the girl to really feel? Not just checking off orgasms, but how do you want her to feel emotionally? In order for that flower to blossom, it needs the right environment. It needs a certain level of consistency, of safety. And like I said, a woman's not just a flower, it's a flowering that can sprout a whole garden. And also to think of the things that could sabotage your vision, which if we're looking as guys, especially at most relationships, and we listen to most married guys, well over 90%, and you listen to their sex life, it can often sound pretty boring. So if you're around those guys, it would be the same thing as if you had a big financial vision and you were around a lot of guys that are broke. And they've worked the same job, like, oh, it just doesn't work, it's so hard. You'd eventually give up on your dreams to be financially independent. Getting around the right people, the right circle, and then educating yourself. And I'll leave you with this. It's so powerful to take time for yourself, to start with 30 days, to not have sex, to reduce ejaculations, to actually know your own body, because a lot of us, we don't. We're trained by porn, and maybe our vision is something we saw in porn when we were 15 years old. And we can accumulate a lot of blockages or armor of we've been aggressive or hard on our bodies. Women know this better than men. And we can actually be in our own way and not necessarily know it. We can be our own biggest enemy, even in the bedroom, even in our thoughts, our fears. And ultimately, making love, it's not about a checklist or how many days you've done semen retention. It's about an experience that you really deeply feel. And to think about yourself, not just the pleasure, but what do you want to feel emotionally with the ultimate relationship, the ultimate sex life, and the ultimate woman? See you soon.